Mexico has just fired back in the escalating trade war, and the U.S. auto industry is in the crosshairs.
Looking at the market, because long-term, the United States will be very...
In response to the 25% tariff imposed by the U.S. administration, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced that they will take strong countermeasures that threaten to disrupt supply chains and cripple American car manufacturers. With billions of dollars at stake, businesses are scrambling to adapt as costs skyrocket and production slows down. Can the U.S. withstand the economic shock, or will Mexico's retaliation force a long-term policy reversal? This video breaks down the immediate fallout and the high-stakes battle that could reshape the U.S. automobile industry. But before that, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for further updates. Let's start. The U.S. decision to impose 25% tariffs on all Mexican imports has sparked a fierce trade war, with Mexico now striking back. President Claudia Sheinbaum has authorized retaliatory tariffs and trade restrictions that could significantly impact critical U.S. industries, particularly the auto sector. While initial reports suggested the auto industry might be exempt, growing tensions suggest Mexico may include key automotive components in its response. The country accounts for 42.5% of total U.S. auto parts imports, meaning any disruption could be catastrophic. Mexico's government has remained firm, calling the U.S. tariffs a violation of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard confirmed the activation of Plan B, a strategy designed to counteract the economic assault. Key automotive materials such as aluminum, steel, lithium, and wiring harnesses are among the potential targets of Mexico's response. Without access to these essential components, U.S. automakers could face stalled production, massive job losses, and significant price hikes for consumers. The North American supply chain, carefully constructed over decades, is now on the verge of collapse due to escalating political tensions between the two nations. This trade war could leave lasting scars on both economies. The root of this trade war began when the U.S. announced a 25% tariff on auto imports from Mexico, aiming to encourage more domestic manufacturing. However, this policy severely hurt Mexico's economy, as the country heavily relies on its auto exports to the U.S. Mexico's auto sector generates billions annually, and the tariffs threatened thousands of jobs. Suppliers, particularly smaller ones, may struggle to absorb costs and could face bankruptcy. Industry leaders and trade groups urged Trump to reconsider, emphasizing that tariffs would undermine U.S. competitiveness rather than bring back jobs. Mexican leaders viewed the U.S. move as unfair and economically damaging, forcing them to respond with strong countermeasures of imposing retaliatory tariffs on automobile parts. Mexico's retaliation is designed to put pressure on the U.S. auto sector, ensuring that U.S. automakers feel the consequences of disrupted trade. Mexico is the backbone of America's auto supply chain, and any disruption could send shockwaves through the industry. As the world's seventh largest auto producer, Mexico plays a crucial role in keeping U.S. dealerships stocked. In 2024 alone, it exported 2.8 million light vehicles to the U.S., making up over 80% of its total car shipments. Nearly half of these were from American automakers, with Japanese, German, and South Korean brands also relying heavily on Mexican plants. From Nuevo Leon's Hyundai Kia factories to Ford's long-standing operations in Sonora, Mexico has become an essential hub for manufacturing sedans, SUVs, and pickup trucks. If Mexico were to cut off or slow exports, it could strangle U.S. production lines and dealership inventories, driving up prices and crippling sales. With such deep integration between the two economies, any major policy shift, trade restriction, or supply chain disruption from Mexico could put America's auto industry on its knees. The question now isn't just how much the U.S. depends on Mexico, but whether Mexico is about to use that power to its advantage. Meanwhile, take a moment to subscribe to the channel for our upcoming videos. The tariffs imposed by the U.S. in early 2025 boosted domestic manufacturing but led to economic turmoil instead. The new tariffs on Mexican auto imports could cripple U.S. automakers, with GM and Ford taking the hardest hits. These two giants have aggressively expanded their Mexican production since 2021, with GM increasing output by 75% and Ford by 52%. Now, their reliance on Mexico may backfire. GM exported 85% of its Mexican-made vehicles to the U.S. last year, while Ford sent a staggering 92%. Stellantis Chrysler also faces a major blow, exporting 77% of its vehicles north. With American automakers producing over 1.6 million vehicles in Mexico, most of them destined for U.S. buyers, these tariffs could trigger supply shortages, price hikes, and a production crisis. The auto industry is bracing for impact, but will Mexico strike back? In many ways, economic relations between the United States and Mexico are based on the premise of mutual benefit. Since the North American Free Trade Agreement went into effect in 1994, trade between the two countries has more than tripled. In 2019, Mexico became the top trading partner for the United States, topping $614 billion in total trade. Currently, after Canada, Mexico ranks second for U.S. exports and second, after China, for U.S. imports. This volume of trade is perhaps a natural consequence of the proximity of the two countries, as well as the extensive familial and cultural ties they share. Still, the Mexican economy and GDP are significantly smaller than the U.S., and there continues to be a persistent income disparity between the two countries. So, while Mexico's economy relies heavily on the U.S. as an export market, approximately 80% of Mexico's exports go to the U.S. There has always been tension in the economic relations between the two countries, particularly around the issue of immigration. The United States and Mexico have a long history of bilateral trade disputes. These disputes have ranged from tariffs on sugar and steel to country of origin labeling for beef and pork products. Over the years, these disputes have affected consumers, businesses, and even the trucking industry. In most cases, the cost of certain goods increased significantly enough to cause economic hardship and a loss of profits, putting pressure on the governments of both countries to seek a resolution. While the United States and Mexico have been able to resolve some of their bilateral trade disputes, others continue to linger on. It is clear to many that the two countries need to find a way to work together more closely to resolve their differences and avoid future trade disputes. Otherwise, the economic relationship between the two countries, not to mention business owners and consumers, will continue to suffer the consequences rather than prosper from the centuries-long U.S.-Mexico relationship. Because of the Mexican government's firm stance against U.S. tariffs, President Claudia Sheinbaum recently secured a temporary postponement of additional tariffs in his phone call with President Trump, leveraging diplomatic channels to maintain economic stability. However, uncertainty looms over long-term trade policies because Trump has given only a month to Mexico, and after that, the decision to continue tariffs will be considered again by the U.S. if the dispute is not resolved between the two countries. As negotiations continue, both governments will consider weighing economic realities against political agendas. The future of North American trade depends on whether diplomatic efforts can ease tensions or if the conflict will escalate further, deepening the strain on the automotive sector and beyond. Summing up the things, the trade war between U.S. and Mexico can leave long-lasting effects on the automobile industry, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Mexico's counterstrike could send shockwaves through the U.S. auto industry, threatening jobs, supply chains, and economic stability. Will the U.S. hold firm, or will the economic damage force a course correction? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. But keep in mind that the next moves from both governments will determine whether the crisis deepens or a resolution emerges. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for notifications about our upcoming videos.